In this video, we will discuss about depth of field. Depth of field refers to the amount of things that appear sharp in your frame, in front and behind of your focus point. You can change the depth of field of your picture by modifying the aperture or f-stops of your camera. Before we go further, here's the rule of thumb for f-stops and depth of field. The smaller the f-stop, the shallower the depth of field. The larger the f-stop, the deeper the depth of field. In this picture, I set my camera to focus on the astronaut toy in the foreground and capture the image with f-stop of 4.5. With this setting, only the foreground is sharp while the other stuffs on the background are blurry. As I increase the f-stop, you can see that the objects in the background become sharper. We can now even see the word University of Houston on the background. Here are the images compared side by side. The smaller the f-stop, the shallower the depth of field. The larger the f-stop, the deeper the depth of field. So when do we use shallow or deep depth of field? In general, we use shallow depth of field when we want our subject to stand out from its background, such as in portrait photography or wildlife photography. In landscape photography, where we want our image to be sharp from front to back like this one or this one, it's best that we use deep depth of field. So how do you take images with different depth of field? Let's take a look at our astronaut image. Other than the difference in the depth of field, these two images might look the same. However, actually, the shutter speed and ISO are also different. To get a proper exposure for your image, smaller f-stops will need low ISO and fast shutter speed. As the f-stop increases, the ISO will need to be increased, while the shutter speed needs to be decreased. Doing the exposure adjustment manually takes practice and requires a lot of trials and errors. And for beginners, this can be frustrating. Fortunately, DSLRs have a very helpful setting called Aperture Priority. This is a semi-automatic function that allows you to take control of the aperture or f-stop setting and let your camera take care of the shutter speed and ISO settings. In this picture, using the Aperture Priority, I set my f-stop to 4.5 and my camera automatically adjusts the shutter speed to 1/30th seconds and ISO to 500. So now it's your turn to take your pictures with different depth of field settings.